So, we all know vocabulary is an integral aspect of any language study, such as speaking, when it comes to the teaching learning of the four English abilities. Without vocabulary, it would be difficult to learn a language. It should be presented, explained, and incorporated in all types of language learning activities, and students should learn it. Vocabulary mastery would be extremely beneficial to students learning English, particularly in speaking ability. In addition, this topic helps us to learn more and focus on vocabulary enrichment to help students improve their speaking skills. With the help of reading comprehension, students will be able to master their vocabulary and help them learn the importance of four English ability skills. In problem statements and research objectives, reading comprehension and vocabulary mastery learning activities in the classroom are heavily reliant on printed sources such as textbooks, periodicals, newspapers, articles, and so on. It means that students must be able to read well in order to grasp what they read. They must have a strong command of the English language in order to grasp the substance of the text or passage. Then, as a result, reading comprehension and vocabulary knowledge are frequently linked.
Now let's proceed to the research significance. The results of the research are expected to be beneficial for the following group of people. First is the school. The study's findings are likely to provide some theoretical contributions to the school's efforts to improve educational quality. Second is the teachers. The results of the research are useful for English teachers as information to know his or her students' speaking ability, and it can be used as a consideration to improve the teaching quality and the students' speaking ability. Next is the students. The results of the research are useful for the students as information to improve their speaking skills so they can improve it because of its importance to be mastered to support the improvement of their vocabulary enrichment. Last is the researchers. The research of this study is likely to serve as a resource for other researchers who wish to do more research on comparable issues using a different design such as an experimental study to improve students' speaking abilities, particularly vocabulary enrichment. Next is the research scope. As reflected in the title of the study, the scope of the study was to improve the students' speaking skills using vocabulary enrichment. The participants were first, section of senior high school students of Pangantucan National High School, Pangantucan, Bukidnon. For the sake of data sufficiency and conformability, this study carries out four English ability skills. Next is the operational definition. To avoid misunderstanding of the key terms used in this study, the key terms are defined as follows. First, vocabulary achievement is the increasing score that indicates the progress made by the students on the achievement test. It is according to Hoggs 1941. In this study, the vocabulary achievement refers to the score obtained by the students on the vocabulary achievement test given by the teachers.
Speaking is one of the four skills of language that students have to master in order to prove that they master the target language. Speaking is the most used skill to communicate with people. It is very clear that speaking is so much part of everybody's life. To learn a language, students may encounter difficulties and problems. So in order to overcome the problems regarding speaking activities in the classroom, the teacher should creatively find new breakthrough in designing the activities. Unfortunately, many teachers seem to see these problems as something simple. They tend to use very traditional ways of teaching English. Speaking activities is the most common in the classroom. But teachers tend to go on with memorization activities. Students are provided with dialogue and then practice the dialogue and present it in front of the class. Students may find this boring and not interactive. That is why the goal of learning is not achieved. So in that case, the researchers of the said study will be presenting an intervention program and have activities that will develop speaking capabilities of the students, that students will be finding this intervention as interactive, and then it will cut their attention because these intervention programs will be having a direct communication with the teacher and the students as well.
The action hypothesis of our action research is if teachers use vocabulary enrichment program, students' speaking skills will improve. This will be proven or not if indeed the intervention is effective in improving students' speaking skills after the conduct of the intervention and after the researchers have come up with the results.
The present action study is intended to respond to research questions of quantitative and qualitative natures. Data collection and analysis techniques from both methodologies were implemented. Hence, descriptive research design is chosen as it enables the researcher to describe the current situation of the study area. Research locale and respondents of the study. The study will be conducted at Pangantucan National High School, Pangantucan, Bukidnon. A total of 20 senior high school students will be the respondents of the said study. The 20 students will be randomly selected. Data collection instrument and technique. To complete the study, a speaking proficiency questionnaire and vocabulary knowledge scale was adopted. This instrument will produce qualitative data that is needed to support the study. Predetermined questionnaire on vocabulary will also be used. Data analysis technique. Descriptive analysis will be used in analyzing the data, in which attempt to make an analysis over the student's speaking skills proficiency.
This is the action plan of our action research. Prior to the conduct of this action research, the researchers have undergone brainstorming about possible problems related to classroom research, which interests the group. Later on, the group choose one problem as a focus of their action research. Then the researchers plan to work on the action research proposal title and objectives. After it is approved, weeks will be consumed for drafting the remaining parts of the research, specifically the introduction, review of related literature, methodology, and the intervention. In the following week will be the drafting of speaking proficiency test and vocabulary knowledge scale. The speaking proficiency test is adopted from the TOEFL test format. The test will consist 3 sections, which is the picture narration and 2 sets of listen and speak test. This will probably take 1 to 2 weeks. The researchers will test 1 section of senior high school students in Pangantucan National High School, Pangantucan, Bukidnon. The vocabulary knowledge scale is a predetermined test. Later, the intervention will take 2 to 3 weeks observation, where the test then will take place. The last part of the action plan is the evaluation of the intervention, if it is effective to the students. The effectivity of this intervention will be based on the students' performance and whether they improve or not. And then finally, the making of the conclusion, which is based on the results of the intervention and which would sum up everything that had happened prior, during, and after the intervention.
Hello, I am Andrea Staphelia, and now I'm going to report to you data triangulation. So in this phase, the researchers will employ triangulation methods within the extent of the research, the action research, providing a context for the study and a description of how this triangulation will be used and will be successfully implemented to ensure an in-depth and more unbiased set of findings. Basically, the researchers will attempt to map out the richness and the complexity of the study by studying it from more than one standpoint. In this action research, the researchers decided to employ theoretical triangulation, which means that the study will utilize a theoretical scheme in order to interpret the phenomenon, particularly related to students' vocabulary enrichment. The researchers are going to look into the phenomenon using diverse perspectives and lenses, and to further give emphasis, the researchers delved into numerous theories that will support vocabulary instruction. Two closely related theories particularly seem applicable. Schema theory is one that, and it is an important hypothesis for effective vocabulary expansion, since pupils or students with limited schemas or past knowledge have a harder time acquiring new words. The absence of schema, which is typically due to insufficient reading, is a significant challenge for developmental education, especially pupils when learning new terms. According to this theory, learning new words becomes easier as students' vocabulary improves. This is also a term used by psychologists to describe the process of understanding. It helps students to motivate their prior knowledge in their minds, and as a result, to comprehend the current knowledge which is built during vocabulary instruction. Next is success indicator. Success indicator of this research is solely based on the results of the survey. The speaking proficiency of the respondents before and after the intervention is the main factor in the success of the study. The respondents will be subjected to vocab tests to assess their vocab level and speaking activities to evaluate their speaking proficiency. The success of the intervention will be based on the result. So here are our research procedure. First, we are going to brainstorm as a group. Next is we are going to formulate the research questions and the consultation to the teacher, to our research teacher. Next is we formulate the research title and the general and specific objectives. Next is the consultation of the title and objective. If not approved, researchers will repeat from the brainstorming. Next is the drafting of the action research proposal. Next is the making of methodology and the consultation. And lastly is the presentation of the action research.